Hi, Doug White from Model Car Muse. In 2019, we went out to the 40th NNL Nationals in Toledo and recorded some of our first interviews for the Model Car Muse channel. We have 4 of these conversations to share with you in this video. In this first interview, there was a lot of room noise and it's challenging to understand what's being said, but you really need to check out Rich Morgan's amazing scratch-built race car.
They spin that way, but they also have a bounce the rear suspension. You see the knuckles growing and expanding. It's accurate. And the suspension's adjustable. If I can take the hind ends, I can loosen up the ball joints, and I can grow it in or out or tweak it to the front or the back.
We have the rear suspension.
Yeah.
When you compress that, it's just
Perfect.
It's beautiful.
The U-joints and all function on it. All the joints are, and you can spin the shafts at the same time as you're tweaking it, so that it goes through the geometry while it's still spinning.
And you got working U-joints.
I do.
Awesome.
I do.
And you built this in?
I think I built it from 84 to 86. The car survived for the most part. It was in a museum in Salt Lake City since 2007, I believe. And they drove it in this week, and this is the first I've touched it. I designed this rear suspension. I think I finished the rear suspension the day before Christmas Eve. I had it on my desk, and it was all in brass. And I thought, you know, it looks too dark and too forbidding in brass up here, even if you're figuring polishing it. So for some silly reason, I decided to tear it all apart and do it in aluminum instead. When I finished it Christmas night, it was really, I think it's a world of difference doing all that suspension in aluminum. I kind of got to like working with aluminum. It doesn't take a brilliant polish, but it doesn't take an artificial polish. I was happy with it. I was happy to change it.
Yeah, it's always a great neutral color. You get starts to shift.
It's an accurate color. It's an accurate color. Because they're more inclined to make pieces from aluminum and stuff.
So, we're looking at everything is scratch-built?
The plastic engine, no. The rubber I did not do. They're all handmade. The aluminum rims are all handmade. Aluminum rivets inside. Disc brakes, technically they're accurate. All the ball joints feature new work. They're adjustable. And all the parts work on them. The ball joints are on the tie rods and the lower ball joints. So it was a fun discipline. It was a discipline trying to force myself to learn how to do something in a smaller size, technically more accurate. That's what I do. I've done the last 2 have been in 1/8. I enjoy the ability to do some of the detail on the aluminum.
I built this one. It was supposed to be a resin, and I had problems with paint sticking to the resin. So I took the roof off of it, put it on a plastic body.
Standard kit body.
Yeah.
With that roof.
Right, because this is a Chevelle 300 roof, more formal than the fastback.
The backlight, the back window is different, and it's also a post car.
Right.
Where that doesn't have a post.
Right. And it's done in like a 2000 style. It's
Okay.
lowered, has some larger wheels and tires. The rest of it is just basic car.
Yeah.
Try to be a little subtle.
Gorgeous, clean build.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the blue one here is the same kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I done it as a day 2, where somebody went and bought the car, went to the speed shop,
Yeah.
dual carburetors, XL ignition, fiberglass hood scoop, thrush mufflers,
Sure. Oh,
headers, white headers,
yeah.
which you got to put on.
Oh yeah.
The Mickey Thompson tires in the back,
Tires.
and Kraggers, of course.
Yeah.
Gabriel air shocks
Oh, yeah.
with the bladders and everything, and the fill tubes.
That metallic blue color. That's
Yes.
like quintessential for
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, well, me too.
For that
yeah.
era
Yeah,
Chevelle.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a Tamiya blue, Tamiya light blue metallic over silver.
I think they're great together.
Thank you. I didn't plan on building the second one, but after I built this one, it's such a nice kit. I said, let me do one. It's a 60s street machine.
Basically, there's no kit, so this is a resin body.
It's a resin trans kit, so it builds off the AMT 1966 Galaxy XL Fastback kit. Basically, it has the body, rear bumper, taillights, the wood grain decals, full interior. The rest is supplied by the Galaxy kit.
Bare metal foil for the trim?
Bare metal foil. This is just paint. The outside here. The insert's a decal, but the exterior is not. I threw this thing together really fast for the show. I didn't get it finished all the way. It's sitting a little crooked, and there's some details that aren't done yet.
They're a little crooked out of the factory.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's just, you know, it uses the kit stuff underneath, and this one goes together pretty well. Some of the ones I'm doing take a little fiddling.
Sure. Oh yeah.
This one came out pretty decent. I'm happy with it.
The rivets, those 3/4 inch rivets in there.
Yeah. When I created those, I used a toothpick and a dab of epoxy. You know, use a photograph of the car.
Sure. Well, the challenge is getting them to all look the same size.
Right, and then but in the process of painting and polishing, you know, the base color, and then doing the framework, a lot of them get lost, even though they're very pronounced on the kit. Sure. So so you have to kind of go back to the photograph when you're you know, use a toothpick and some Molotov chrome.
Yeah. Sure.
And just tap, and then go over it with some future floor wax so it won't dull in the future.
The Daytona car and the Nürburgring winning car, which had the scoop on the top.
Sure.
And then I've got a trans kit to build the Sebring car, so I want to get the D, all the variations of the D built, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, there were so many changes within basically the same chassis, right?
Yeah, yes sir, exactly. And for me, having built these things, that was almost, if not more fun, trying to get all the chassis knowledge and knowing what the cars did from race to race to race. I can kind of give you a rundown. The H and the J were one-off cars. They only built one of each. The G and the E, and I didn't bring it, the C all used an aluminum chassis. They only built two.
The classic monocoque chassis.
The classic, what we refer to as the monocoque aluminum chassis.
Sure.
So there were two
standard of the day. GT40s, McLarens.
Yeah, Mr. Hall calls it the eyeball jiggler.
Okay.
So there was a C, and then it only raced in 4 races, ish. And even that car, the original, when they first built the C, it had zoomy exhaust. And the last 2 races, the exhaust went out the back of the car. So Road America and one other place. And then the C became the E, which everybody knows is the car that changed the world because of the active suspension or wing arrow. And then the E, they crashed one at Nassau, the Bahamas, in a race. So they only had 1 chassis left, so that became the G with the big block in it. And then they raced it in 67 and 68.
So the G was the first big block. Up until then, it was all
small block Chevelles.
Okay.
And with 2-speed automatics. And when they went with the big blocks had 3-speed automatics.
Okay.
And everybody says, oh, they were all backed by Chevrolet. They were not backed by Chevrolet. They had a direct line to General Motors research and development.
Okay.
So Mr. Hall was the guy that helped General Motors redesign the Corvair and the Corvair suspension, because they have the racetrack down there at their shop. That's 2 1/4 miles. And
a lot of photos of cars on that track.
And it's about 200 feet of elevation change on the track. And he had a skid pad. You know, he was doing all kinds of really interesting stuff down there back in the mid-60s. So that was, for me, that's what it's all been about.
So that was your inspiration to not do McLarens with GT40s?
It was correct. Trust me, I got a case of GT40s at home, and I'm like,
right, someday.
But even trying to track down particular kits became kind of interesting. AMT made a slot car in 24th that's an early 2. Chaparral
I have
too.
one of those.
It's real narrow,
Yep.
slab side.
Yeah.
And then there was a Cox kit that was the Sebring winner. They call it the 2A, but if you talk to Mr. Hall, he says there was never an A. There was just a 2. This car and the Chaparral D's and the 2A all used basically a fiberglass chassis.
Wow.
They built 4 of them. They crashed one, so there are 3 left in the world. And if you go down to Midland, Texas,
Yeah.
there's the F is built, a D's built, and the 2A is built with all the all the shark fin gills on it. So
I mean, this is really the history of aerodynamics.
totally. This
From going from guys like really not paying much attention to, do we need aerodynamics or how does it work? To he was a pioneer among others of going, what do I need to do
to go faster?
Get that advantage.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why we love these cars.
I think the inspiration for me as a kid was I got a Toledo 43rd scale 2F, so when you press down on it, the wing would articulate.
Oh man.
So I still have that car.
These don't all articulate?
well, they you can take them off.
Right. Yeah. Just
for
one.
shipping, and it's been a lot of fun. I built one of the H's as the restored car, where it doesn't have the big wing and it doesn't have the winglets on it. It's just what he really intended the car to be.
Very fluid.
And what's fun about this car is all this top part was supposed to be clear, and the driver was going to sit inside of it. It was going to be like a closed coupe.
Okay.
And since he nearly got killed crashing the G at Vegas, he had to hire somebody to drive it, John Surtees.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, John Surtees, and John Surtees got in it and said, no, raise me up. So when they raised him up, it changed all the aerodynamics on the car.
Sure.
And they raced with the big wing, fixed big wing, one race, Laguna Seca. And the car sat on the pole, but then it broke. In 1969, at the beginning of the 69 season, they didn't have this car sorted, so they bought a McLaren, painted it white, put a wing on it, and it was competitive. And that real car lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, with a eye surgeon. And it's really neat to see it. He said, "You want to sit in it?" And I went, "I'm too big." That's, again, going back to just learning the history and how things changed. And I sort of wish I had brought the whole lineup, because it's from here down.
All the way down.
And you see from 1964 to 1970, 6 years' time, how much aerodynamics really changed. It's a joy. I took 7 of them out to the NNL West, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I've seen these cars race." So,